Update Friday 06:30 Washington DC, and it ain't the police doing the checkpoints no more. It's full out military. Holy shit. I want to show y'all something. See this? See this military right here, all armed.
You can actually jam down the street, because if you did, you'd still run into all these barricades. But literally, that's unbelievable. I've never seen anything like this.
And I saw troops there armed with assault rifles and pistols and an array of tactical vehicles and a zigzag on surrounding roads, barring entry to those for vehicles.
This is what our intersections look like now. I'm about to show you something very scary. These are big checkpoint gates. These are Humvees with M60s and saws and M4s, and they're all loaded. And that don't look like riot control to me, but check this out. Look at these barricades with these personnel tunnels and shit to go through.
This morning, the nation's capital is a fortress. With just 3 days until inauguration, a rehearsal set for today has been postponed, and some 20,000 National Guard troops are on patrol.
You know, I don't think anybody has ever seen anything like this.
Security concerns are mounting at less fortified state capitals across the country. At least 13 states have deployed their National Guard.
The Department of Defense has now authorized 25,000 National Guard troops to protect the Capitol and the inauguration throughout the country. And at the Capitol itself, there are already more US troops guarding that seat of US democracy than there are US troops stationed abroad in Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria and Somalia combined.
At airports, the TSA is cracking down. More federal marshals on flights, more canine teams, and more random gate screenings.
Our posture is aggressive, and it's going to stay that way through the inauguration.
This is what I believe is going to happen. They are going to assassinate Joe Biden at the inauguration.
If you're like me or anyone else in the world, you're probably wondering what the hell is going on right now and what is about to happen. But first, a little recap of the wild things that have happened in the last few weeks and how we got to this point today.
Right here, we're going to walk down to the Capitol.
It's amazing energy. Everyone's lit up. Everyone's fired up, coming from all parts of the country to fight for our republic. Woo! Woo! Republic. Let's see what's going down at the Capitol.
It looks now like the Capitol, the police have been
Pete, let me break
hold
away
these
from you a
people back.
second, because things are happening very quickly.
The government did this to us. We were normal, good, law-abiding citizens.
Gunshots inside the Capitol.
I think it's the most shocking failure of security imaginable to place the Congress of the United States at physical risk.
I'll tell you, this is madness, and anybody that calls themselves a Republican like myself should be very ashamed right now.
We are hours into a siege on the Capitol building of the United States of America.
Look, I can think of no greater failure by a commander-in-chief than to allow this kind of disturbance to continue and not stop it.
Stormed the Capitol building. They are marching through now.
An improvised explosive device has been found at the Capitol. It did not detonate.
The United States Senate will not be intimidated. We will not be kept out of this chamber by thugs, mobs, or threats.
Votes for President of the United States are as follows. Joseph R. Biden Jr. of the state of Delaware has received 306 votes. Donald J. Trump of the state of Florida has received 232 votes.
Call on this mob to pull back and allow the work of democracy to go forward. I call on President Trump to go on national television now to fulfill his oath and defend the Constitution and demand an end to this siege.
What has happened today is unprecedented in American history. And when you have violent mobs storming the floor of the House of Representatives. It is absolutely counter to...
There was a shooting at the Capitol today, and that in fact the shooting victim has died.
Complete unfit to serve as president, to serve as the commander-in-chief.
The account of Donald Trump will be locked for 12 hours following the removal of the tweets that Twitter deemed incite violence.
Mr. Trump lost his primary megaphone overnight when Twitter permanently shut down his personal account, breaking off his connection to nearly 90 million followers. They also suspended one used by his campaign. This as calls from both Democrats and some Republicans intensify for the president to resign or face a potential second impeachment for inciting Wednesday's deadly storming of the U.S. Capitol.
@Real Donald Trump has tweeted for the last time. In a statement, the company said the decision was due to the risk of further incitement of violence.
They also banned General Mike Flynn, Sidney Powell, Lynn Wood, and thousands of other conservatives and Trump supporters in an unprecedented move. Why are they going to such great lengths to censor us?
With just 11 days left of his presidency, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi called for President Trump to immediately resign. Otherwise, she said she is prepared to move forward with 25th Amendment legislation and a motion for impeachment. The draft article of impeachment, incitement of insurrection, alleges that President Trump's conduct on Wednesday gravely endangered the security of the United States.
Well, sadly, the person who's running the executive branch is a deranged, unhinged, dangerous president of the United States. And only a number of days until we can be protected from him. But he has done something so serious that there should be prosecution against him.
We are seeing an extensive amount of concerning online chatter about a number of events surrounding the inauguration. And right now we're tracking calls for potential armed protests and activity leading up to the inauguration. We're concerned about the potential for violence at multiple protests and rallies planned here in D.C. and at state capitol buildings around the country in the days.
Federal authorities have now arrested more than 100 people involved in the Capitol rioting. Investigators are trying to identify more of the insurrectionists. Their pictures now splashed across D.C. bus stops.
Rioters from a range of far-right and extremist groups have been pictured in the crowd. Among them, a well-known supporter of conspiracy group QAnon. Members of white nationalist group Proud Boys, ardent backers of the president, were also there. And the man who broke into Nancy Pelosi's office, Richard Barnett, is the leader of a gun rights group. Then those who breached the defences simply allowed to leave. After watching the invaders walk free, Capitol Police, security and intelligence agencies are now all playing catch-up. The FBI is on the case and charges are coming. So too are demands for accountability. Posing for selfies with officers before the fury turned deadly.
Get back! Something went wrong. I admit that. If I was up there, I deserve to be fired.
Obviously, it was a failure, or you would not have had police lines breached.
If had been a group of Black Lives Matter protesting yesterday, they would have been treated very, very differently.
The assault on this beacon of democracy to go down as one of the nation's darkest days.
The transition of power in their country might not be secure.
So what they've been doing in the last few weeks since the Capitol and even potentially before is setting the stage. They are setting the stage for them to deem all Trump supporters and conservatives as violent domestic terrorists, so they can blame whatever they want on Trump supporters and destroy the MAGA movement and punish Trump supporters endlessly if Biden takes office.
We know now that what happened on January 6th was a setup, and Antifa and agitators there dressed as Trump supporters, along with real Trump supporters, to set up conservatives. Who else was involved in hatching this plan? Did Vice President Pence know of this plan? Did Trump know? It seems like we were the only ones that were in the dark.
This is what I believe is going to happen. They are going to assassinate Joe Biden at the inauguration. Kamala Harris will have already been sworn in as vice president, so she becomes president, and it fixes all of their problems. They're going to blame it on a Trump supporter. Shutting down social media helped them in the way that what they're doing right now is they're building a profile for the past. The Capitol protest where they had people storm the Capitol, what that set up is now what they're doing is nobody's going to be in D.C. So there's no cameras on the ground. They can't pull this off if there's a bunch of people with cameras taking video while it's happening. If they manage that, because I believe that Biden's dying anyway, so he's willing to be the sacrificial lamb. So once they take him out and blame it on a Trump supporter, it invalidates the whole Trump movement. It makes it so people can't question the election anymore because of sympathy. It wins middle America, gives sympathy to the Democrats. They can do anything they want at that point. Initiates martial law, starts the gun grab, and on top of that, we can't attack Joe Biden's family anymore, and they can't investigate him anymore because of sympathy, because he's gone. And if he's dying anyway, he doesn't care. So we need to be talking about this to stop it from happening, because if we're talking about it, it will stop it from happening. But I am convinced that this is the plan, because it sews up every loose end and it gets them everything they want immediately. On Inauguration Day, it's all over. And it is over because they will start rounding us up if that happens.
Are they going to be assassinating or staging an assassination? Are they planning on harming or staging to harm Biden and then blame it on a Trump supporter? Why all the troops in D.C. and all across the country and all the state capitals? Why the massive show of force? Who exactly ordered these troops? Whose command are they under right now? Are they to protect Biden, or are they to protect President Trump and all of us? If this is a coup, if this is a takeover, whose coup is it? Why is the NSA installing Trump National Security Council staffer Michael Ellis as its general counsel this week in a last-minute move? Why all the closures in D.C.? What are they trying to hide? Just like all the blockages and closures set up on Election Day, what exactly are they setting up for? Why are they not allowing the public to the inauguration? Has President Trump given up? Has he officially conceded? Why won't he have an official farewell event from the military like every other single president? Why won't he attend the inauguration? Will he declassify everything? And will that declassification play a big role in what's about to go down this week? Has Trump signed the Insurrection Act? Nobody knows exactly what's about to go down. There's many questions swirling about. All we know for sure is something big is about to happen. They are preparing something big, and it sounds like a big trap to go to D.C. And the most pressing questions on everyone's mind: will President Trump walk away from this presidency quietly and hand over the keys to communist China and Biden to take over our country and usher in the Great Reset in very dark days ahead? Or will President Trump pull an unprecedented, historic, drastic move and save the Republic? This is Deanna Lorraine for Band.Video and InfoWars.